Every single person in this world has a story to share. Your story is your superpower, and it's unique to you. In sharing it with the world, you can impact millions of people. If you keep it to yourself, you are doing the world a disservice. This is Della. I'm the host of Della's Voice, and I help you share your superpower with the world.
Hello, and welcome to another Della's Voice Sunday Live talk show. Once again, I am blessed to be here to bring you another wonderful story, a story of hope and human making miracles. This story is going to uplift you. It's going to inspire you. It's going to elevate you so that you also would want to do something for your fellow human beings. I'm super excited for today's show. It was a fluke when I came across this fantastic lady, and I'm so grateful that someone took the time and introduced this amazing woman to me. Because in sharing these stories, that we are able to help one another. Today's amazing superhero is Shannon. A little bit about Tara. Tara is the author of the book Rabbit and Bear Make a Wish. Her book and its messages and how they struck a chord with the people in this time especially is a story of inspiration and hope. Tara's journey with cancer, anxiety, depression, grief, and loss, the hurdles of how she learned to cope, have brought her to this very moment in her life. It puts her in a very unique position to have these strong conversations. She wrote this book, Rabbit and Bear, and it went viral. It seems the world needed the message in the book. Today, she keeps aspiring the world. She keeps writing these messages of hope in the words of Rabbit and Bear. Somehow, they touch our soul. So it is my pleasure to bring you Tara Shannon today. Let's give her lots of love. Just give us comments, questions, and experiences so that we can make this an amazing show as always. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Tara Shannon on Della's Voice. Hi, Tara.
Thank you so
much. You love it, dude.
I love it.
One more time.
Oh my goodness.
People, please.
It's just so red. Funny.
Tara, thank you so much for being here today. First of all, I want to say this. When I saw your name and I went on your page and I'm like, there's no way she's going to answer me. There's no way. Because I understand that, you are inundated with messages, and the messages that you are getting are not just, hi, Tara, like, have a nice day. No, there are letters. These are letters that you're getting from people. Seriously. And I thought, this is like, I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm going to ask her to come on the show. And I'm so fortunate that you saw the message and you accepted. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. First of all, I want to make sure we say hello to our viewers who are already here with us and watching. So if you're watching this, I want to thank you. Please leave us a comment because that way we can say hello to you too. And also please share this talk with other people. Let them hear this inspirational story. Tara, I'm not going to take any more time. I just want to jump in. And
Okay.
I want you to please give us a little bit of a backstory. How did this all come about?
Well, I think it started. It's been a long time coming, but for about 5 years, from my early 30s until I was about, I don't know, 36 or so, maybe even older. I experienced a lot of loss, and things within myself that I didn't understand as well. So in my very early 20s, I started to experience panic attacks, debilitating panic attacks. Initially, they would start at night, and my doctor at the time said they were night terrors. And then slowly they started to happen in the day, and they would happen while I was at work. And I didn't understand why. The people around me didn't understand why. Like, I would lose my breath, and I would feel in that very moment that I was potentially going to die. It just felt awful. It was an awful feeling to experience that panic and that intense anxiety. And depression came along with it. And doctors at that time said that what I was experiencing was generalized anxiety disorder, and they prescribed pills. And those pills didn't make me feel any better. They just made me feel worse. So that carried on until I was in my 30s. And at that time, in my life, other things were happening. At that time, I miscarried. I was newly married when I was 30 years old. That marriage didn't last. I was having a difficult time at work. I changed jobs. The miscarriage was a big surprise to me and was very, very, like, it's going to stay with me forever. And then my dad was ill. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. And in 2011, my dad passed away. And not long after that, my mom was re-diagnosed with cancer. It had come back. And I was diagnosed with cancer. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And in learning that, I kind of figured out some of what was triggering the anxiety and depression I'd been having for so long. It was a symptom of an autoimmune disease that apparently I could have had for at least a decade, if not more, called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And so yes, my thyroid came out in January of 2012, or sorry, July of 2012. My treatment was in January of 2013. And by April 24th, 2013, so yesterday, it's the anniversary, my mom passed away. And it was just so much. But I don't remember really thinking, like, it was hurtful, and there was so much to do and think about in the aftermath of my mom's passing, that it didn't really hit me until, several months later, when after I had finished, closing out her estate. I had so many big feelings, and that anxiety and that depression were still there, and that fear, because the two people that had been most important to my life were gone. It was just such a hard time, and I didn't know how to process those feelings, and so I really struggled. And I went out in the world, and I think I made somewhat of a mess in respects, because I didn't know who I was without them. I didn't know what was happening to my body. I didn't know if the cancer would come back, because I'd watched my mom struggle with it. Well, initially when she was first diagnosed, she did very well. She responded very well to the chemotherapy. And then it came back, and it just seemed like no time at all. And then she was gone. And so I really struggled. I really struggled. And then with losing a child, I didn't know, was that something that I should do in my life, was pursue having a child of my own. But my body wasn't meant to do that. That wasn't meant to be part of my journey. And so slowly, step by step, I kept trying. I would reach out to friends. I'd reach out to family. I'd reach out to my husband. I'd reach out to therapists. And eventually I could start to sort of every now and then feel like myself again. And one day in 2019, it was springtime. I had this idea that I wanted to sit down and draw and write. Writing has always been something that has helped me to calm me down, to process thoughts and feelings. And ever since a child, even when you think of kids now, to color in a picture, to draw, it just helps to calm everything down. So as I began to draw, I'm thinking, what am I going to draw? And I was on Pinterest, and I was looking at photographs, and I saw rabbits. I've had pet rabbits, and I don't know why I thought that I could draw them, and what you see a lot of on Rabbit and Bear are very simple line drawings, but I started to draw more complicated, for me, sketches of rabbits and other things, flowers and other animals. And so I would put those together, and it would bring me joy, and my family enjoyed it. I would share it with my friends online. I have a writing group I'm part of, and everybody, thought, oh, this is great. These are lovely. And that's really as far as it went. But it was a confidence builder to receive the messages from people saying that how much they liked it, or how it touched them, what Rabbit and Bear were, or Rabbit and whoever animal were saying to each other. And I got an idea in 2019 that, well, maybe I could make this a book, but my confidence level still wasn't quite there with the drawing. So I asked a friend of mine if she could help. She's a professional illustrator. And I put together a Kickstarter campaign, and it didn't go well. It didn't meet its target. And so that was the fall of 2019. And I sat back, and I was disappointed. But I thought, well, I'll regroup and I'll try something else. And in that time, I wrote a novel with some characters that are sort of similar to Rabbit and Bear, not at the same time. And I carried on. I regrouped, and I moved forward. And that had always been my way. Somehow that was imparted upon me from early, from my parents, to just you regroup, you try again, you keep moving forward. And lo and behold, in the new year, 2020, our world changed in a big way. And all of a sudden, overnight, the world needed my rabbit and my bear. And everything literally changed in one night. And I remember going to bed, and I checked my Facebook just one last time before I turned off my phone to go to sleep. And I saw my drawing, and I hadn't shared it. It was shared by another page. And I kind of nudged my partner, and I said, look at this. And at that point, it'd been shared, I don't know, maybe about 7,000 times, something like that. And I looked at some of the comments and then turned my phone off and went to bed. And then the next morning, it was, I don't know, 15, 17,000. And it just kept going up and up. And then I remember receiving a message from one Facebook page owner. I think she's from Mindfulness Ireland. And she said, you know, your image has been the most shared, the most interacted with image. It's like it had over 1 million, you know, people that it's reached. And that was just one page. And people didn't know me, because sadly someone had found that original image and they had cropped my name out, and they didn't, you know, link me to it in any way. So I started chasing after it, and in doing so, slowly my Facebook page and other social media accounts started to grow, and I shared my other, you know, drawings and inspirations, and then those started to go out there. And it was just today that I looked at a post that I shared yesterday, and it's reached over 1 million people. So that's the first time with my own eyes that I've seen one of my posts go that far and in the world, and it has almost 1,000 comments. And I read every one of them. I try anyways, and it's just, it touches me so much that my words are bringing hope and comfort to people, and letting others know that they're not alone, because you're not. You're not alone. There's so many of us experiencing the same things, right? Especially right now. So,
Wow. Wow. What a story. What a story. I'm going to play a little clip. So that if people don't know about Rabbit and Bear story, this will just be an introduction to you. So we're going to go see that right now. So this is the very last post that I saw of you, that of the rabbit and the bear. It was on Facebook, and I read it, and I thought, wow, this speaks to everyone. So who is the rabbit, Tara? Who's the rabbit and who's the bear?
Well, I like to think of them as all of us. I like to think of them as within each of us, there's an aspect of rabbit and an aspect of bear. So in everyone, there's that childlike quality where you're asking questions, and we're, you know, seeking knowledge. And then through experience, life lived, you know, whatever that combination may be, we gain that wisdom of bear. But deeper than that, they're representations, of course, of myself. Rabbit is of course me, with all the questions out there in the world without my mom and dad. And Rabbit's also the child I lost. And that was the only gift that I received outside of something that my mom made, was a little stuffed rabbit that someone gave when I was pregnant, and I still have it. And then bear, again, that's sort of a representation of the experiences I've had in life. My parents, my grandparents, those that I've lost. But part of it too is my nickname ever since I was very small was Bear, and I couldn't pronounce T's, and so my name became, instead of Tara, it was Bera, and so so that's kind of Bear. But I still like the idea that it's all of us. They're for everyone. That's how I like to look at Rabbit and Bear. They're little bits of each of us in there.
So the rabbit asks the questions. The rabbit is the curious child,
generally.
Yeah,
generally speaking. But I mean, Rabbit's learning too. So every once in a, it's usually Rabbit asking the question. But sometimes it's Bear. Bear needs, some help every now and then too. But yeah, generally it's Rabbit asking the questions and Bear providing the answers.
And it's always those conversations that all of us have. And so this last one is about I'm afraid.
Yes.
So is it the stuff you feel yourself? Is that how
Yeah,
you
that's
do the posts?
that's how I think that they resonate one with me. But I think that also makes them more accessible and to others because I share that vulnerable side of myself. Um, and I don't like to try and force anything because then I feel like it's inauthentic and I don't, it doesn't seem to have that same connection even in myself. So that's what I try to remember when I'm creating them, was because that's how it started. Rabbit and Bear were a way for me to process big feelings. And then they ended up helping others, which is, the gift that has gone along with it. But that the initial, and I don't know if I should share it now, but the one that went viral, this is a gorgeous gift that was sent to me. It's kind of the bit of a glare there. It's a cross stitch that one of my friends' fans sent from England, but it's the image that went viral, and it says, "I'm afraid," said Rabbit. "What are you afraid of?" asked Bear. "I don't know," replied Rabbit. "I just am." "Then I'll sit with you until you're not afraid anymore," said Bear. "We'll face it together." So this is the one that went viral first. Woo! There it is. And I just that comes from me sitting with my partner and him not knowing how to help me. And there's a lot of people out there who are, with someone who's dealing with anxiety or depression, or they've gone through something traumatic, or they've lost someone that they love. And even me, like you want to fix it in some ways. You want to do something and help that person. And I've discovered that that's not always what's needed. In a lot of cases, a lot of times for me, I just needed my husband to be there, just to sit there with me, to hold my hand, to share a laugh or two, watch something funny on television, to cook a meal. And the same with friends. It wasn't that I needed them to do anything specific. I just needed them to be there. It was just nice to have someone to sit with me, to hold that space. And
this is so important, and a lot of times we just don't know how to deal with things like this. And you also have a lot of ways for others to help each other when someone's going through grief and loss. And yes. There's so much miseducation about grief and supporting yes. one another in yes. times of grief and loss. Yes. And I want to ask your opinion on that too. But let's go through some of the comments and let's see who's left us here a comment. Like, there's lots of love here, Shannon, lots of hearts. Sarah and Babak and Frida and Kusha. Babak says, "Hi, Tara. Welcome to the show." Linda is sending hearts. Linda Mileski. Ruth is saying, "So excited to see and hear." Furuzan is here and she's sending hearts. Heather says, "Love Tara, Shannon." Marianne Sabatino says, "Love Tara." Marianne also says, "I wish my husband was for me, but he," I guess she meant was here for me, but he died 3 years ago. Oh. I'm sorry to hear about your loss, Marianne. Ruth says, "You have written so many more pieces that are not in your first book. Will you be publishing another book?"
I would love to. And I think I will. My publisher has said yes to that. So I'm not sure when it will happen, but I think there will be more books to come.
So I want to also let people know where they can get your book.
Yes. So Rabbit and Bear Make a Wish is available through Indigo across Canada. So it's in some stores, and it's available online. That's a hardcover. So don't pay attention to anything that Indigo might say online saying it's soft cover. It is, in fact, a hardcover book. This is it right here. There was a glitch in the system there at Indigo, and we haven't been able to get it changed for some reason. And then it's also available through Amazon as a soft cover, and it's available Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, and Amazon.co.uk. So we're trying to get it out there in the world, but trying the best that we can. And that's another thing that amazes me every single day, the people that reach out to me from the Philippines, Singapore, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Canada, Ireland, England, the Netherlands, Norway. It just
I got goosebumps as you're talking, because this is what happens, when you put your heart and soul out into something like this, and you say, I just want to share my story, and I want to share my my superpower so that it would help other people, and there's such a big ripple effect. Tara, you have no idea how many millions of people are being touched by your courage and your storytelling, because most of them don't even reach out to you. So you just never know. It's not just the people who see your story. It's me who see your story, and I see your story and I take something from it and I change myself. And then as a result, I change my interaction with the people in my life, in my family, my son and my husband and my mom and my brother. You have no idea how many people you are helping, Sarah Shannon. Did I say Sarah Shannon? Tara, I meant to say Bara Shannon. So there's more comments here. Let's see. So Heather is actually here. Book is published and available at Indigo. So Heather also says, yes, there will be more books.
Okay, there we go.
It's decided. Linda says, I can't wait for your next book. That is great news. John Bacchus says, I'm going to second the need for a second book. Also, how did you feel about the response to GoFundMe plea yesterday? Did you have a GoFundMe plea yesterday?
I did, and this is the second one that I've done. So I made the decision. I did a talk last weekend with Tidewater Autism Society of America, and they were interested in having some rare, bear and rabbit books to give to people there in Tidewater. It's in Virginia. And unfortunately, it was a bit too much for them to buy them. And I thought, well, why not see what we can do on GoFundMe? And it was funded in 3 hours. It was amazing. So 50 books are on their way to Virginia. And again, that's, I said, that's the second time. It was I'm going to get it wrong. It's a couple of months ago, I did another GoFundMe for McMaster Children's Hospital in Hamilton, Ontario. And a story came to my attention about a young girl who was battling cancer. And I thought, well, maybe rabbit and bears is something that would bring them comfort, or their families. And so I started a GoFundMe, and that was also successful. And I was able to deliver those books, and I shared that on my Facebook page and social media. And that's truly one of the best gifts, is that I can share Rabbit and Bear with people, and young and old. and it brings comfort, and they bring comfort and hope, and not just to others, but to me too. It brings me such comfort and hope, and it's truly been a pleasure to share them.
Tara, do you mind reading? Is it possible for you to read a couple of pages of your book?
Sure. Just the rabbit and bear part? Like, okay.
Whichever part you choose, whichever part you choose to read.
There's the foreword, but that's sort of my story that I've said already. But so it begins with a wish. Make a wish, said Bear. I'll get myself situated here. It's just a weed, said Rabbit. It doesn't grant wishes. Who says it's just a weed? Asked Bear. Everyone, replied Rabbit. If everyone said you were something that you are not, would it be true? Asked Bear. No, said Rabbit. Well then, is it possible that a dandelion can be more than just a weed? Asked Bear. Rabbit thought about this while looking closer at the plant. It was intricate and lovely, with shades of buttery yellow when in full bloom that faded into a soft white before dispersing on the breeze like a kind of snow. Maybe I was wrong, said Rabbit. I think you might be right, said Bear. Make a wish, said the dandelions. I'll just do one more. Oh, now I can't get to that page. Make a wish, said the dandelions. But where will you go? Asked Rabbit. We will become your wish, and one day we will return to you, replied the dandelions. You mean you won't die? Rabbit asked. No, laughed the dandelions. A wish can never die. It can only come true.
Oh my. Oh, that's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
What are you thinking when you write these words, Tara?
I'm thinking about what I've experienced. I'm thinking about what I've lost. I'm thinking about who I've lost. I'm thinking about the lives lived by those people and the stories and the things that they shared with me. So I'm thinking my parents, I didn't get to know my grandfathers, but I knew my grandmothers, and my heritage, of course, goes into a lot of it as well. My dad was born in Dublin, and he was a great storyteller. And my grandmother, his mother, was very good at stories as well, and fairy tales from Ireland. So all of that, everything that sort of experiences of my life go into my work, and I like to try and share a little bit of what I call magic, and whether that's hope or comfort, and it's in everyday things like a dandelion, which are coming up now around the world and in Canada, and a lot of people look at them as a nuisance, and even I did growing up, because to my parents they were kind of a nuisance, and they're beautiful lawn. But my viewpoints on those have changed, and they're beautiful, and they're wishes, and a little bit of magic that sprout up by the dozens in our yards. But we just need to change our perspective. And having gone through what I have in life, it has in some ways forced me to change the way I look at myself, the world around me, and to look for hope, to look for that beauty. And it's right there. It's right there in front of us. We just need to see it. So it's everything that it
Okay, first of all, I'm
And
never looking at a dandelion with the same eyes. They are beautiful, and they and I'm always
yes,
going to look at a
yeah,
dandelion and think, make a wish. And
yeah, make a wish.
they come back every year. They come
Hmm.
back more and
Yeah,
more. There's so much hope
yeah.
in that.
There
You're
is
right.
so much hope, and every thought we're putting out there, every idea, it's taking on a life away from us, like our wishes, our hopes, our dreams, and they're all going out there conspiring in the background to come true for us. And you can get caught up on one thing, and I do that too. I have certain goals that I want to achieve, and when they don't happen, immediately, a lot of times we are like, oh, well, and then the negativity can kind of set in, or you think, oh, well, you give up. But it doesn't mean that wish hasn't stopped trying. It's still out there. It's trying to find different ways, like to have a book that's published, to be able to go into a bookstore and see my book on a shelf has
Oh,
been a wish and a dream of mine since I was very small. And look where that wish went. I had to live a whole life, lose a lot of people. I've worked a variety of different jobs. I've all of these different experiences, and now I'm 43, and my book is in stores. I haven't been able to see it on a store shelf yet because of the pandemic. But
soon.
not here in Ontario. But soon it's there, and so if anybody's seen it on a shelf, please share a photo. I would love to see it on a store
Yes.
shelf.
Ah,
Yes.
and you said it so well. Had it not been for all this ups and downs, all the struggles in your lives, all the adversity, you would not be the person you are today.
No.
This book would have never happened. I mean, not in this way.
Form. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not in this
Yeah.
way anyways.
Yeah.
And so there are those days that we I think we all have them when we wake up and it's just not a good place, especially I'm sure with the pandemic, more and more people are suffering, and a lot of us are questioning, and we are getting to the end of our ropes. And so it's hard. Some days are really hard. So do you have, what a silly question. I think I know the answer, but I just want you to talk on that a little bit. How do you deal with those days?
Well, feel those feelings for one thing. So there might be a lot of people that, and I see that in society, there's a lot of be positive, just turn that frown upside down sort of thing. And some people call it toxic positivity. There's certainly nothing wrong with being positive, but there's also nothing wrong with being sad, with grieving, with feeling loss. And I think that we have to feel those things. It's part of life. And I think we have to give ourselves permission to feel those things and not to judge other people for how they're feeling. Like if you see someone who's crying, don't tell them to smile. Let them feel, be there for them, be with them. And that because that's what has happened to me. And I've discovered over the years that there were times that I felt like I was running away. I was trying to run away from it, as if if I could avoid it, it wouldn't happen. So the loss of my parents and miscarriage and my cancer diagnosis, and the fear that kind of is ongoing with that, because I'm 10 years cancer free next year, and it's wonderful, and I'm happy about that. But there's still anxiety that goes with it, because what if it comes back? And then the question is, well, what if it does? And maybe it will. But I allow myself to feel that. I allow myself to to think on those things a little bit, and maybe explore them a little more through my writing and with Rabbit and Bear. But then I try to set little goals for myself. I have big, lofty goals. There's other books I'd like to, not just Rabbit and Bear stories that I'd like to publish, but other, novels and things like that. So those are bigger goals. They'll take longer to do. But then in a day, it might just be go for a walk, make a nice meal, sit down and draw something. They can be, reaching out and talking to a friend that I haven't spoken to for a little while. And, because I have had those really dark days. I remember, in 2017, I think I felt, the worst I have felt. It was the winter of 2017, and I just went into a very dark, depressed place, and there were, I don't think I left my room for possibly 3 days. And I just remember sitting in there and, crying and letting myself feel everything. And inside my head thinking, I have to go. I have to do something. And I reached out to my partner. I reached out to my doctor, and I started making steps forward little by little. And then those things build over time. And I think it's important to always look for something to be hopeful about or for. And it doesn't matter what that is. It can be whatever resonates with you. Maybe it's someone sharing a story online, a joke, whatever gets you getting back into that happy place, or a happier, more positive place. But take your time. And that's something I've learned over the years as well. There's grief. They set out, the steps of the grief, and it doesn't happen that way. Loss and trauma and that sort of thing. It doesn't happen in a textbook way, because it's been 7 years since my mom passed, and coming up on 10 years for my dad. And I have to say that it still sneaks up on me. And so it's not a linear process. It can, you can be having a wonderful day, and then something triggers you, and boom, you're right back in it like it just happened. And I think that's important for people to know that, and to hear that you're free to feel however you want to, but feel it. Don't force yourself to be a certain way because it's going to make someone else happy. Make yourself happy first. Work through what is happening in your life, and then that opens you up for everyone else. That's me.
Grieving for a loss is not about just losing someone, right? It's so much more.
Yeah.
And I know that in the past year, a lot of people have gone through a lot of grieving process, mm-hmm. right? So
yes.
What sort of things are people grieving for?
Oh my goodness. Right now it's not just, grieving for lost loved ones. It's grieving for life as we once knew it, and how we did things, and how we could so easily go and do just about whatever we wanted to do. We could travel the world. We could, and I'm speaking a lot for where I am in Ontario, because where I am in Ontario, we're in lockdown. They're asking us to stay at home. You still have to go out and do things and get groceries, and there's still, life is still happening, but it's happening in such a different way. and for children too. And it's not just for grown-ups. It's like so many people are dealing with big changes and the big feelings that go along with that. And you can see it like this time last year, there was this, I don't know how to put it. There was this empathy and positivity, and we're going to get through this, and singing songs at 6 p.m. and banging pots and pans for healthcare workers, and thinking, you know, and we'll do a puzzle and we'll do this and that and we'll be through this in no time. Yet here we are, it's a year later, and we're still here. We're, you know, working from our home offices. And so while we're dealing with a lot of those big changes that are hard, I think there's a lot of positive that's come as well. There's a lot of workplaces that have discovered that they can accommodate people working from home who might not be able to fit into that workplace as we once knew it. So there's things, you know, there are positive things as well. Our environment is reacting positively to us being home much more. But certainly people are grieving things on so many different levels, and our healthcare system, our mental health care system, is struggling to keep up, and it was struggling to keep up before the pandemic. My youngest stepdaughter, right at the start of the pandemic, graduated from nursing college and was hired to be a mental health nurse. And she said it's overwhelming, the need. And I've seen that for a while because I have learned within the last year, just over a year, that I have ADHD, and I have been attempting to find, again, a counselor, therapist, and everywhere I turn, there's wait lists.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to find one yet. So I'm home doing what I can, what I've learned myself over the years, how to handle things. So breathing exercises, physical exercise, writing, drawing, cooking, being outside. Where I'm lucky where I live. I'm in the country and we have a bit of property. I'm lucky. That's a privilege I have. That's not a privilege that a lot of people have. And I grieve for that. I feel for people that don't have the access and the privilege and the resources that I do, and they're struggling just the same. And so yes, so much happening.
So much happening. When someone's grieving, they need special set of skills to be able to help themselves, but also people around them.
Yeah.
They also need a set of skills to be able to help that person. And often we feel like, someone comes to us with, a loss or grief of any sort, that we are there to like tell them what to do. And you're so right when you mentioned that before. And so what's the first thing that we can do? And just to reiterate, when someone's coming to us with trouble on their mind, any sort of trouble, what can we do? What's the first thing that we need to know that we should do or we shouldn't do?
Well, and that's just so people, somebody's struggling, but then who they're going to, they're also struggling.
Yes.
We all are. So that really important piece of the puzzle is empathy. And I feel like a good majority of us have had a crash course in empathy in this last year. Yes. Learning what it's like, because like I said, when I first approached the world with Rabbit and Bear, there wasn't that same connection. And now there's that understanding that empathy is there for what it's like to have anxiety, to lose loved ones, and to grieve. So what's most important is to listen and just, sit with that person, listen, take it in, and don't judge. That is something that unfortunately seems to be a trigger reaction in a lot of situations, as you see something happening and you're like, oh, and we want to judge. But I think that along with, empathy, we need to practice not judging people for the choices and the decisions that they're making, because ultimately, we're living our lives. We can empathize with others, but we can't truly see the way that someone else sees and feels things. So really it's, listen, be there, be open to what they need or have to say. Maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe they have nothing to say. Maybe they need to work up to that point. For me, it's taken me a good number of years to kind of find my voice and find my way of expressing myself, to bring comfort, because a lot of times when something big happens around me, it goes into my mind and it gets stuck in there for a little while. It's a mixture of, thoughts and feelings and images of what I've seen, because I'm a very visual thinker. And then over time, I'm able to put words to that, and then put those words on paper and work it out. And everybody's process is going to be different, and how they're able to come to terms with things, to express them. So I think we really need to be understanding of it.
That's true empathy, isn't it? To be able to put ourselves in that person's shoes and feel what they're feeling. And that's true empathy. And you're right, Tara. We have had a crash course in empathy in the past year. And I've seen more and more people getting stronger in understanding what empathy really is. So, Ruth said, what I love about your pictures and stories is they can be applied to each person's situation. It crosses multiple cultural and racial boundaries. Thank you. And I was saying, right? I was saying that, yeah, we can, there's something in it for all of us. I think we can all relate. And Tara, one thing I have noticed, especially in the past year, because we have been able to connect with so many people across the world, I think we have come to realize more than ever that even though we're all so different on the outside, and how our, geographically we live in all these different parts of the world, at the root of it, our humanity is what pulls us together, because at the bottom, we feel the same emotion. We fear the same fears. Yeah. What's your take on this?
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think I do purposely try to keep Rabbit and Bear somewhat simple in messaging. And I mean, some of my posts are longer, but I do kind of aim for those shorter dialogues between Rabbit and Bear, and that leave it kind of open. Because of course, when I'm creating them, I have my ideas of where they're coming from. But then as I put them out there, I can see how people are relating to them and from their own experience, their own lens. And I think in keeping them kind of shorter dialogue, more simple ideas on the surface level, they're simple ideas. I think that opens them up to be translated and understood like in a lot of places, because like I received a message from a woman in India this morning, and the message was, I don't, you know, I don't understand, or I can't express myself in English very well, but I love your rabbit and bear. They speak to me.
Yes.
And that's amazing that they can get out there in the world and be something for so many people.
Amazing. I see Rabbit and Bear Make-A-Wish stories coming alive all over the globe in different languages. They're going to be translated in all sorts of different languages so that people from all over the world can benefit. And the concepts are simple, like you said, but they go so deep. They touch us so deep inside. And I think every single one of us can relate to them.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you so much for the work you do, Tara. I want to give you a couple of more minutes to just give us whatever you like.
Oh my goodness. I would like to say that to all of my fans, and at the moment it seems, you know, Facebook is a very popular place for people to find me. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well, but I try to read every single message and comment. And if you don't hear something back from me, it doesn't mean that I didn't see it, and I'm not taking it to heart. There's just so many heartfelt messages that come through increasingly, and they impart such big things that people are going through, and I understand a lot of them. Sometimes I haven't experienced exactly the same thing, but I do have that empathy, and sometimes I need to step back, because sometimes your comments and your messages, see, I'm crying still, really touch me, and I feel like I need to think about it before I respond properly. And if I don't, just know that I am thinking of everyone that is reaching out. And yeah, it's been an amazing year for myself, for Rabbit and Bear, and I look forward to what's to come next. It's amazing.
Amazing things. Thank you. Let's all do what we can to spread this message of hope that Tara is putting out there. And so if you know someone who is struggling, maybe these words, these pictures are the best gift you can give to that person, because they just say 1,000 words, right?
Yes, feel free to share my posts. Try and keep my name tagged.
Yeah, right.
I appreciate that, but definitely feel free to share. Yeah.
Thank you.
Spread the love.
Spread the love. Spread the love. Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to thank every single person who's watched us and who's left us comments. Thank you for giving us your time. Please share this talk with your friends. And let's just keep this rolling. Keep this inspiration rolling. This is worth it for sure. And so just want to wish you all the best, Tara Shannon, for everything you do for the world. For coming out like this and sharing your story so that other people can benefit. And you're a talented lady, and I can't wait to see you soar with more books. And one day you'll be out, wanting to promote your book. And don't forget us little people.
Oh my goodness.
Remember Dela'svoice who interviewed you.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
You're so
I appreciate
welcome.
it.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. So I wish you the very best Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we will see you next Sunday on another Dela's Voice. This has been Dela's Voice, sparking your soul. Take care. Bye.